The Bible tells us that one of the measures of any society is how it cares for vulnerable children and orphans. So important, and it's so big in the Bible. So as we make America great again, we are going to protect American children.
Listen, when you got Big Mac sauce coursing through your veins, or Thanksgiving gravy for that matter, and you are a credibly accused pedophile, a rapist of children, and your cognition is failing, it must be tough. On an unrelated note to that, Donald Trump's having a real rough time. So much so that he's really leaning into the God talk now that he is facing all of the troubles that he is. Now that we have emails from Jeffrey Epstein to Michael Wolff of 2019 saying, of course he knew about the girls. Very rough for Donald Trump when in August of 2018, you got another email from Jeffrey Epstein who says, I know how dirty Donald Trump is. Real rough for Donald Trump when in April 2011, another email, this one to Jeffrey Epstein from disgraced, convicted sexual trafficker and rapist of children, Ghislaine Maxwell. And she says, I want you to realize that the dog that hasn't barked is Donald Trump. This victim, this underage victim, spent hours alone with Donald Trump. Real rough. And so what do you do when you're a fake Christian who's leading a party filled with fake Christians, fake family values conservatives? Well, what you do is you lean into God talk. You host an event at the White House where you're talking about foster kids and we're going to protect kids, he says, while invoking God over and over and over. And he knows so little about his faith that he just kind of starts rambling with gibberish. But before I play these particular choice clips, here is Donald Trump before the event started. It started, but before he made his remarks. Melania Trump is speaking, his wife. And he's standing, and even while standing, he can barely keep his eyes open.
I predict this small spark today will ignite a profound and lasting nationwide movement. Our united resolve will foster a thriving future filled with compassion and innovation. Together, we will illuminate the pathway for today's foster children to become tomorrow's builders. And tomorrow's builders...
Again, it must be taxing to be in certain positions, legally, morally, ethically, just as a decent human being. He doesn't know anything about those things. The other thing before I get to the crux here that I want to talk about is that this was like not even 3 minutes in, this clip I'm getting ready to play for you. Not even 3 minutes in, and Donald Trump starts rambling about his ballroom. Starts explaining that the wall behind him will no longer be there. It'll be the entrance to his grand palatial ballroom that only he cares about. I don't know a single person in real life who gives a single fuck about the ballroom, except that maybe they know that to be a waste of money, a waste of time, a waste of effort, a waste of general resources, monetarily and human, otherwise. And here's Donald Trump obsessing on it.
We're also joined by countless distinguished leaders in the child welfare advocacy ministry and charitable foundations, as well as so many wonderful young people who have experienced foster care and used their voices to champion needed reforms. And I want to thank everybody for being here. It's an amazing day at the White House. Thank you very much. And right behind me, by the way, in about 2 years from now, we'll use a much bigger room because we had to turn away a lot of people. And it'll be right here. This will be the entrance. That's a knockout paddle. It's called the knockout. It looks pretty nice right now, but it's going to look a lot better in a little while. And we're going to go from this room into a room that seats a few more people, and it's going to be beautiful. But I just noticed I happen to be standing here, Peter, and I thought I might as well get you a shot right now, a nice, beautiful shot at the future entrance to something that's really become very popular, the ballroom. They've wanted it for 150 years. and they're getting it, and they're getting the best. It'll be the best anywhere in the world.
Now, that is just remarkable to me, that he is so in another world. He exists in another plane of reality, that people are suffering, prices are increasing, they don't know where their next meal is going to come from. He goes to court to fight against paying for people's food assistance from the government, and he's talking about his ballroom, his $1/3 billion ballroom. The event was about foster children, about protecting foster children, about making their lives better. And they, of course, with any Republican event, they sprinkle in a lot of God talk, a lot of Jesus talk, a lot of Christianity talk. And here, Donald Trump, in his written remarks, you know how he does this thing where he goes away from what is written for him and starts riffing. This, I don't even know what this was. I don't know if he was riffing or whether he just got confused by the remarks, but let's try, please. Maybe I just don't understand. Maybe I'm just daft. That could be. You explain to me what in the hell he's trying to communicate here.
Faith-based nonprofits are the nation's most trusted institutions, interacting with the foster care system and practicing Christians and more. Think of this, more than twice as likely foster care. They'll adopt the general population. They adopt to it so easily. When they get out, they adopt to it just like becomes second nature. It's amazing. Yet radical left policies in states nationwide make it much harder, not easier, for those families to open up their homes. But we're working on that. We're dealing with the radical left. It's not easy, but we're winning, and we're winning big.
I've got the transcript here. Let's just read what he said. Blah, blah, blah. Interacting with the foster care system and practicing Christians and more, which think it is more than twice as likely foster care. They'll adopt the general population. They'll adopt it so easily. When they get out, they adopt to it just like it's just become second nature. It's amazing. It's amazing. All right. It's amazing that you think that's a sentence. It's amazing that you think that communicates anything that anybody can understand whatsoever. But yeah, there's no problem with Donald Trump's cognition. Everything's fine, everybody. So here's the element that I want to talk about chiefly and primarily, and it is the leaning into. Every time these ghouls get into trouble, they start really adhering to their newfound or maybe just dormant Christianity. We've seen it with Russell Brand, who was famously an atheist, and now he's getting baptized, and he's like a big Catholic or something, like super religious, only after he's been accused of raping children. Again, it's just replete with these conservative types. And here's Donald Trump telling us about the Bible and how it's real strong in the Bible. It's so big in the Bible, and we're going to protect kids, says the man who was best friends with a child rapist for a decade and a half, who's mentioned hundreds, if not thousands of times in emails to and from Jeffrey Epstein, a disgraced, deplorable, horrific criminal against children. But tell me more about Jesus, a guy who said it's better to have a millstone, a giant millstone hung around your neck, and have you tossed to the bottom of the sea to die, to drown, than it is to harm a child. But tell me more, Donald Trump. Quote your little scriptures that you don't know. Watch this.
As president, I will always stand by us. We will stand by our country, and we will stand for religious liberty. So important. We stand for religious liberty. The Bible tells us, thank you. Thank you. The Bible tells us that one of the measures of any society is how it cares for vulnerable children and orphans. So important, and it's so big in the Bible. So as we make America great again, we are going to protect American children in foster care, and we're going to ensure that they will never, ever be forgotten. These children will never be forgotten, and they're going to grow up to be unbelievable, strong, smart, wealthy, productive citizens.
The Bible tells us that the measure of any good society is how well they treat children, how they protect children. And again, this is a man who just fought in court to not pay food assistance for hungry kids. Tell us more about the Bible, you fucking dirty hypocrite. And all of this is to be a distraction, to try to make him seem kind or generous or altruistic or whatever. We know that not to be the case. Especially we know because when he left the room, he darted. It was practically running away in full retreat because he had to run through a line of reporters that were asking him about the Epstein emails, about his involvement with a predator of children, about Donald Trump's possible predation of children himself. This is full retreat. I don't know that I've ever seen Donald Trump walk or run this fast. Never seen him move this fast. Here we are. We all see you. We all know what's going on. Even MAGA knows what's going on. They have to twist themselves into a pretzel to try to look away from or explain away this behavior. The thing they've screamed about and banged on about for years and years and years, the Epstein files. The White House printed binders with Epstein files phase 1 and given it to conservative troll influencers. And now it's a hoax, it's a hoax, it's a hoax. He's running away from hoax questions. Gross. Anyway, I invite you to this conversation. Let's talk about it in the comments below this video, whether that be Facebook or YouTube. Make sure you're subscribed on YouTube and follow and like the Facebook page, Dollemore Daily.
Jeffrey Epstein, in this person's view, was not a pedophile. This is this person's view, who was there for a lot of this, but that he was into the barely legal type. Like he liked 15-year-old girls. There's a difference between a 15-year-old and a 5-year-old.
Speaking of conservatives knowing that Donald Trump is dead to rights, guilty of the crimes he's been accused, they know, or at least they have their deep suspicions that Donald Trump is guilty of crimes against children, because now instead of saying he didn't do it, they're saying, well, maybe it wasn't what it was. Maybe it's okay to have sex with a 15-year-old. And they're just, this is the thing about conservatism and the Republican Party that made me escape as a young man. It's the hypocrisy. It's the lies. It's the having to shifting your narrative constantly, moving the goalpost constantly. I have ideologies that are set in me. I have a North Star. I have things that guide me, principles and morality and ethics. And I can't change them just because the guy that I voted for ended up being a child rapist. That's not in me. I don't have that. If a politician steps out of line, I call them out for it. And if they don't correct the behavior, I write them off because I don't deify politicians. I guess I never have. Apparently, that's not the case with Megyn Kelly, who is changing her story remarkably on what exactly is and is not child rape. What exactly is and is not consent. Who is a victim and who is not. I saw this headline from Media Matters and it seemed almost unbelievable until I looked into it. It is Megyn Kelly questions whether Jeffrey Epstein's desire for, quote, very young teen types made him a pedophile. And this, of course, is an extension of what you will be seeing in the coming weeks and months when they start defending Donald Trump for this type of behavior. Saying, oh, it wasn't pedophilia, it was something else. He just likes them young. All of it's gross. All of it is disgusting, reprehensible. This is the same crowd that has demonized drag queen story hour and gay people and trans people. We're not safe in bathrooms and oh, they're grooming the kids. And then when an actual groomer, convicted groomer and rapist of children, who is an associate of Donald Trump, a best friend type of Donald Trump, when that is found out, then it's like, oh, well, that's not grooming. That's something different. And they're liars and hypocrites. And the reason I know they're liars and hypocrites, because I have two clips for you of Megyn Kelly. One from January of 2018 when she was still a respectable journalist. This is when she left Fox News and went to NBC and hosted her little Today Show offshoot program. And she had Nicole Eggert on, who accused Scott Baio, another Republican stalwart conservative who was accused of sex crimes. And Megyn Kelly, in this clip I'm getting ready to play, it's maybe not even 30 seconds. She's saying, talking with accuracy about her feelings and about the law, about consent, about a child. Who is a child? And they can't consent. They legally cannot because they're of whatever age. Watch this. Remember, 2018, January 2018, Megyn Kelly on NBC.
The age of consent, just so you know, is 18 in California, and was back then as well. So there's no consenting for a 14 or even a 17-year-old in these circumstances. So talk about that you feel as a victim, you feel a victim. To people who are going to be out there, because some are going to judge and say, you were 15, you were 16, you were 17, you were a willing participant. Again, the legal age of consent in California is 18.
And it's not a one-off. All of that is accurate. All of that is true. All of that is reality. But that's not a one-off. That's not just that's just a one time. Maybe that was just because NBC made her say it. On her own program in 2023. Well, this is with her backdrop, but it's not her program. It's a Great Britain news. It's a UK news show. And they're talking about Russell Brand, the guy I just talked about, who's now flipped and he's found Jesus. He's now, after having been credibly accused and having legal ramifications come his way, now he's a religious man. Now he's found the Lord. Here she is coming out against Russell Brand, talking about the crimes and how it's disgusting and speaking reasonably about it. She acts like an idiot in the clip. You'll see when she's like threatening to unsubscribe to him because he's these people. Anyway, watch this and then we'll move on to her making excuses, her formulating her argument for when she ultimately defends Donald Trump's crimes.
I don't really care if it turns out that the rape charge or the sexual assault charges fall apart. You're 31 years old and you have sex allegedly over a 3-month period with a 16-year-old. We're done. I'm unsubscribing. All right. And I am sick of conservatives online trying to defend that as though she had a role in it. She was a minor. Just because you can't be prosecuted for it doesn't mean it's right. The conservative men I know are lovely. They're ethical. They're honorable. It's not to say they've never fallen down in their lives, but in no world would they be taking advantage of a 16-year-old minor. I have a daughter who's 4 years away from that. You come anywhere near her as a 31-year-old man, and we are going to have a serious problem. And it's not going to be over whether you get demonetized on YouTube. Yes. I really hope my friends on the conservative side of the aisle would remember, just because we're all over Me Too and it was an overreaction and it went too far and it got politicized, doesn't mean that we have to knee-jerk defend every scumbag who gets accused of bad behavior.
I'm done. I'm unsubscribing. That's too much for me. No more. That logic doesn't follow now, though, apparently. If you're 31 having sex with a teenage girl, that was too much in 2023, but apparently something magical happened in between 2023 and where we sit today. In 2024, Donald Trump's president now. The dear leader is now being accused of the crimes she once felt reprehensible. Here she is. This is what led me down this rabbit hole. The Media Matters headline. Here she is explaining away crimes against children and making weird comparisons between 15-year-old girls and 5-year-old girls.
As for Epstein, I've said this before, but just as a reminder, I do know somebody very, very close to this case who is in a position to know virtually everything. Not everything, but virtually everything. And this person has told me from the start, years and years ago, that Jeffrey Epstein, in this person's view, was not a pedophile. This is this person's view, who was there for a lot of this, but that he was into the barely legal type. Like he liked 15-year-old girls. And I realize this is disgusting. I'm definitely not trying to make an excuse for this. I'm just giving you facts. That he wasn't into like 8-year-olds, but he liked the very young teen types that could pass for even younger than they were, but would look legal to a passerby. And that is what I believed, and that was what I reliably was told for many years. And it wasn't until we heard from Pam Bondi that they had tens of thousands of videos of alleged, forgive me, they used to call it kiddie porn, now they call it child sexual abuse material, on his computer, that for the first time I thought, oh, no, he was an actual pedophile. I mean, only a pedophile gets off on young children abuse videos. She's never clarified it. I don't know whether it's true. I have to be honest. I don't really trust Pam Bondi's word on the Epstein matters anymore. Yeah, so I don't know what's true about him, but we have yet to see anybody come forward and say, I was I was under 10. I was under 14 when I first came within his purview. Look, you can say that's a distinction without a difference.
No, it's not.
I think there is a difference. Yeah. There's a difference between a 15-year-old and a 5-year-old. Yeah.
Yes, Megyn Kelly. Yes, there is a difference between a 15-year-old and a 5-year-old. The 15-year-old is a child, and the 5-year-old is a younger child. They're both children. Neither can consent. Any sexual activity with either is a crime, immoral, damaging, trauma-inducing. So when you were once outraged that a 31-year-old would feign to have sex with a 16 or 17-year-old, now a 15-year-old, it's okay. With a greasy, sweaty 60-year-old elderly Donald Trump or Jeffrey Epstein. This is what I don't understand. Megyn Kelly is a victim of these types of acts herself. I don't know how far it went. Certainly sexual harassment. Megyn Kelly has kids this age. So Megyn, would it be okay if a 50-year-old Jeffrey Epstein or a 60-year-old Jeffrey Epstein, a 70-year-old Donald Trump, if he propositioned your children? Would that be okay? Because, 15 is not 5. And where's the goalpost moving going to stop? Well, look, there's a difference between a 5-year-old and an 18-month-old. This it seems to be the trajectory with these ghouls. There is no low too low. There is no crime too abhorrent for them not to defend if Donald Trump is involved. Donald Trump just acted disgracefully toward Megyn Kelly. Remember? She's bleeding out of her eyes, whatever nonsense he said, insinuating that she was on her period when she asked the questions during the debate, during the 2016 campaign. When he was maligning Rosie O'Donnell. Just misogynistic. It is the least of Donald Trump's crimes. He has no respect for women. He has no respect for young women. He has no respect for children. They are all objects of his desire and usefulness. And the same with his pals, the Jeffrey Epstein friend group. Conservatives are rudderless. They are moralless. They are disgusting. They will be the destruction of our republic because of the fact that they don't have any deeply held moral convictions, no ethos, no ideology to guide them. Sickening. What are your thoughts? I'd love to know. You can comment below.
We should note, though, that Trump, he's not been at this point implicated of wrongdoing. We do just need to be clear of that.
It's not just disgraced former reputable media figures like Megyn Kelly who are out here doing heavy lifting for Donald Trump to try to extricate him from blame or scandal. And I don't know. Listen, I'm going to play 2 clips for you that these are just 2 clips. I watch a lot of CNN. It's like a torture session. it's like a workout because I get to yell and scream at the TV and be pissed off at Jake Tapper and many other idiots on the network. But This is why, by the way, you'll never see me on a panel on Abby Phillips' show. It's because they're not going to invite me. I've been too unkind. I've been too accurate about what they do. So I watch a lot of CNN, and I've been seeing them do this thing that I'm getting ready to demonstrate to you every single day. In every single conversation they have about Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein, about all of these emails that have come out from 2011 to 2018 to 2019 that say, yeah, Donald Trump knew about the girls. Yeah, Donald Trump spent hours alone with this underage victim. Yeah, I know how dirty Donald Trump is. Every time they get mentioned, every time there's a panel discussion, one of their reporters, one of their journalists, reads a canned response that has been provided them by the network, I assume, because some of these people I don't have any squabble with. Jessica Dean, I think she does good work. You're going to see her. Breonna Keeler has stepped in it a few times and acted like a dumbass. But, you know, we're all human. How many times have I acted like a dumbass? How many times have I made mistakes? Many, many, many. I'm not beyond the gaze of criticism at all. But look, we need to be held accountable when we have positions of influence. I've got 1.25 million subscribers. Who knows how many people she broadcasts to every night? We need to be held accountable when we step in it, right? So I would say to these people who have very lofty, heavy, weighty, important jobs, influential positions in our culture, that they could tell corporate, I'm not reading this. I'm not going to read this statement that says, just so we get it on the record, we need to say this. Donald Trump's not guilty of anything. He did nothing. Why the heavy lifting? Why the carrying of water for a man who's dedicated his entire political life to destroying the country, ending democracy in the nation, attempting to overthrow the United States government by way of overturning a free and fair election? He attempted an insurrection, a coup. And now he's announcing another coup, which is to run for a third term, to violate the Constitution and not leave the Oval Office. Likely he'll be dead before that. But why are they defending this man? Why are they standing up and putting so much energy in to doing this right here? Here's Breonna Keeler reading the little statement, making sure the audience knows Donald Trump's a good guy. Donald Trump hasn't really been accused of anything. All of that's not true. Here's Breonna Keeler.
And note, I mean, these emails, they're raising significant questions. We're going to seek answers, obviously, to those questions. We should note, though, that Trump, he's not been, at this point, implicated of wrongdoing. We do just need to be clear of that. We are asking those questions, of course. These emails do predate his time as president, but certainly we are glad to have you on to talk about this. It's really important.
We should note, though, she says, should we? Should we, Breonna? Should we note? We must note. It must be stated that Donald Trump has not been at this point implicated of wrongdoing. We do just need to be clear of that, she says. We are asking those questions, of course. These emails do predate his time as president, but certainly we are glad to have you on and talk about this. Thanks a lot. After I just erased the entire conversation with my statement. It doesn't need to be said. People are having a discussion about newsworthy items in the news cycle, the hundreds, if not thousands, of emails released by the Democrats on the Oversight Committee that implicate Donald Trump in horrific crimes against children. Why do we need to carry water for this guy? Is it a legal concern? Are you afraid you're going to go down the path of ABC or CBS and have to settle out of court? Well, you don't have to settle out of court. You go to court and you fight it. Don't be complicit. Don't be a morning Joe. In a media landscape filled with cowards, Jake Tappers and Morning Joes and Barry Weisses, have some strength, have some backbone. Stand up for the nation that has given you so much, provided you abundance. Nah, they'd rather just cover their ass. Make sure they're not drawing the ire of MAGA world, worried about the threats that might come their way. Welcome to the party. Here's Jessica Dean This seems more like a hostage video. Doesn't seem like she really wants to be reading it. She wasn't as enthusiastic as Breonna Keeler, but she still read it.
That mentioned the president. And we do want to be clear, the president, Trump, did not receive or send any of the messages, which largely predated his time as president. He's not been accused of any criminal wrongdoing in connection with Epstein or Maxwell.
Well, none of that's true. None of that's true. And we do want to be clear, she says, and then continues to say things that are untrue. The president, Trump, did not receive or send any of the messages, which largely predated his time as president. He's not been accused of any criminal wrongdoing in connection with Epstein or Maxwell. Is that right? Maybe Google Katie Johnson, Donald Trump, and see if there's any criminal wrongdoing that he's been accused of. Maybe that's the linchpin in her statement, criminal wrongdoing. Because when a suit is brought, usually it's a civil suit, because if cops aren't going to charge, if cops aren't going to seek an indictment because they're afraid, because they're part of the system, they don't want to hurt Donald Trump. He's their guy. Maybe it's not criminal. Maybe that's the get out of jail free card there. That's the wiggle word. Because Donald Trump certainly has been accused, credibly, and not just of sexual assault or battery or rape against women, full-grown women, but against children, little girls. 13, I believe Katie Johnson was. So do you feel good, CNN? Do you fucking feel good? It must be said, we should say this, we have to make it clear. Donald Trump is beyond all of this. He's never been accused. It's just a rewriting of history. And for what? For what? Jessica Dean? Breonna Keeler? Is your job more important than justice for victims? Is your reputation in MAGA world that important? I can't imagine looking myself in the mirror on any given occasion after having carried water for the fascist, credibly accused rapist of children and court adjudicated assaulter of at least one woman, E. Jean Carroll. I can't imagine it. Anyway, what do you think? Let's open up the floodgates of comments. I want to hear from you. You can also call the voicemail line 714-576-4054. And of course, as always, you can email me daily@dollemore.com. This is only going to get more chaotic. That's my prediction. Really not a wild prediction. I think anybody can see that. What I'd really love to know is, because I believe this might just maybe, not for sure, but maybe, this might be the nail in the political coffin of Donald Trump. There's a sea change happening. Slowly, quietly, but I think it's happening, even among Republicans. Because I think this, for some, for many, for most, this is a bridge too far. Just ask Thomas Massie and some of the other Republicans who didn't vote for the discharge petition, who are now going to vote to release the Epstein files.
They are flat out publicizing what they're trying to do and why they're trying to do it. They're trying to create seats based on race, and they can't do it. And we're going to hold them accountable just like any other state.
They don't care. Republicans, Trump Republicans, the administration, they don't care if their corruption and their self-dealing, their fascism, their authoritarian, they don't care that you know that's what it is. They're not embarrassed. They're almost to the point where they're like, yeah, that's what we're doing. What are you going to do about it? It's like a challenge to Democrats. Remarkable what is happening. Let me read you this headline, and then I'm going to play just the headline, and then I'm going to play a clip from Pam Bondi on Hannity last night. Here's the headline. Justice Department sues to block California congressional map that favors Democrats. California voters approved the new map, overwhelmingly, by the way. Overwhelmingly, they approved it. A counterpunch to Trump-backed redistricting in Texas and other red states via a ballot measure this month. The DOJ I'm going to show you a map later that is in this Washington Post article that shows the wild number of red states that at Donald Trump's direction, at his command, they're redistricting. In the middle, censuses happen every 10 years on the 0 year. 2000, 2010, 2020. Here we are in 2025. The redistricting should have been done in 2020 or 2021. They're doing it in the mid-cycle because Donald Trump wants to control Congress. He said as much. He hasn't even been shy about it or undercover about it. But the DOJ, they're not suing Texas over redistricting in the middle of the census year, in between censuses. No. They're not suing other states that are endeavoring this. No. They're suing California because California is our most populous state with our largest number of congresspeople, congressional districts, and it could do the most damage to the Republican plot against our democracy. And by the way, before I play this clip, you need to know that in Prop 50, there are like fail-safes. Like if Texas stops doing what they're doing, this referendum is null and void. It goes away. It's a direct answer to the authoritarian anti-democracy action that Donald Trump ordered Texas to undergo. That's what it is. But they're not suing red states. They're not suing the states that are trying to gerrymander and steal democratic representation. They're not suing them. Watch Pam Bondi explain it in the most daft, I'm a moron type of way you've ever seen. Gross.
You know, it wasn't even illicit. They are flat out publicizing what they're trying to do and why they're trying to do it. They're trying to create seats based on race, and they can't do it. And we're going to hold them accountable just like any other state. I mean, they've very publicly said, Sean, what they're trying to do, and it's illegal gerrymandering. They cannot do it. So, yeah, we sued them today. We're going to continue suing California until they start complying with the laws of our country.
If there's ever been an example of projection, like if you could see projection in a dictionary, I mean, there's so many examples of the Republican Party and Republican elected officials and appointed officials like this Attorney General here. But I mean, come on. They very publicly said what they're going to do, and it's illegal gerrymandering. And that's why you're taking California to court. But you're ignoring Texas. You're ignoring Greg Abbott. They're just doing it. Donald Trump has said it. This is the problem with the slow move into fascism. We become used to it. We become used to masked secret police on the streets. I don't know about you, but every time I see one of those photos, I am still shocked and outraged. I'm not going to be like, yeah, this is just the new normal at all. Let me get back to that Washington Post headline. Once again, the headline, Justice Department sues to block California congressional map that favors Democrats. The Justice Department on Thursday joined a lawsuit seeking to block California's new congressional map, the latest chapter in a nationwide redistricting battle sparked by President Donald Trump's push for red states to add more Republican-leaning districts ahead of next year's midterm elections. California's new congressional map was implemented via ballot measure during the November 4th election, gaining the approval of nearly 65% of California voters. This in itself is a move of democracy. This is democratic action. This is the people have spoken. 65% of the 45 or 50 million people in California, well, not all of them are voters, but certainly millions of people voted for this. And Donald Trump wants to disenfranchise them using his Attorney General, his Department of Justice. The measure allows Governor Gavin Newsom, Democrat, to circumvent the state's nonpartisan redistricting commission to redraw the map for 3 elections, but returns redistricting authority to the commission after the 2030 census. This isn't a power grab. This isn't, we're going to take this power, we're going to commandeer this usurpation of democracy, and we're never giving it back. No, we're answering the Republican attempt to oppress the American people, to suppress the vote, to steal congressional districts from Democrats, to ensure that Republicans stay in power. That's why they're doing it. Because they can't win on their ideas. Their ideas are dog shit. No one likes them. Oh, you're going to take food from hungry children and poor people? I'm not into that. Most Republicans aren't into that. They're into doing what Donald Trump says. They're into worshiping him as a demigod, sure. But when you explain like the numbers and the actual, the effects and the impacts of the policies, and you talk about it, they're not into it. If you pin it to Donald Trump, this is his idea, then yeah, they're blind. Most people are good. I do believe that. Most people are good and decent and don't want their fellow Americans to starve, to go hungry, for children to worry about where their next meal is. Most people don't. Quote, Newsom should be concerned about keeping California safe and shutting down Antifa violence, not rigging his state for political gain, hypocrite Attorney General Pam Bondi wrote in a post on Twitter. The Justice Department is joining a lawsuit filed in federal court this month by California Assembly member David Tangipa, somebody tell me how to say it, a Republican who alleged in his filing that the new congressional map, which adds 5 more Democratic-leaning districts, violates the 14th and 15th Amendment protections against racial gerrymandering. Do you not think David Tangipa that's what's taking place in Texas? Or are you just a hypocrite that doesn't care? This is a team sport to you. Democracy is a team sport. It's not about self-rule, self-governance, not about self-reliance. No, it's about team politics. It's about Donald Trump winning at any cost, even if you have to sell your fucking soul. Bondi filed a motion to join the case Thursday, asserting that the case is of general public importance. The Justice Department declined to comment on the suit. Representatives for Newsom didn't immediately respond to requests for comment. Newsom and Democrats in California's legislature set out to redistrict to counteract Texas's new congressional map, drawn at Trump's behest to try to shore up or expand Republicans' narrow House majority next year. In addition to Texas, which approved its new map in August, the GOP has drawn new maps in Missouri, North Carolina, and Ohio. Democrats have kicked off a months-long process to draw a new Virginia congressional map and are trying to block the Missouri map from taking effect. Now, look at this map. Put it up on screen while I'm looking at it. You've got 3 states in the mix, 4 states in the mix here. California, which portends maybe 5 plus Democrat seats. 1 in Illinois, 2 in Virginia, 1 in Maryland, 5 in Texas, 1 in Kansas, 1 in Missouri, 1 in North Carolina, 1 in Florida, 2.5 in Florida, 2 to 5 in Florida, and 1 in New Hampshire. Now, Utah tried to do this in a court. A judge just ruled no. It was court ordered. But everything else, look at this map. Pam Bondi's not looking at this. She's not saying anything to these red states. They're doing their patriotic duty to the dear leader, Donald Trump. If you go against the dear leader, that's treason. That's treachery against the country. If you attempt to realign democracy in this country, you're hurting the nation. But if you destroy democracy, A-OK. One more paragraph here. Other states are discussing redistricting, but the Washington Post previously reported some Republican resistance to those efforts in Indiana and Kansas, while some Democrats have pushed back against new maps in Illinois and Maryland. I don't know who they would be, who those Democrats would be that would be against the prospect of saving our democracy, of fighting fascism, authoritarianism, pushing back against these ghouls, who intend to implement the rest of Project 2025, who have unleashed masked secret police in the streets of the United States of America, kidnapping community members, people who are undocumented immigrants, taking hostage American citizens and imprisoning them for sometimes weeks at a time before dropping whatever bullshit charges were put forward first. We need a new crop of Democrats who are willing to fight, to actually fight for the country. I'm speaking politically. We're not to the point yet that we're going to be doing it in the streets, literally. But you gotta fight the easy way before you have to fight the hard way, to prevent the fight the hard way. I, for one, am ready. I love and appreciate you. I'd love to hear from you. You can comment below the video, wherever you're watching it, whether that be Facebook or YouTube. Make sure you're subscribed on YouTube. It's free to do so. And like and follow the Facebook page, Dollemore Daily. I would appreciate it very much. It really does help a lot. The larger subscriber base and like and follower base that we have on those two platforms. I would appreciate it very much. You can comment below the video. You can also call the voicemail line, 714-576-4054. And of course, as always, you can email me, daily@dollemore.com. And I will end before the weekend with one ask, and that is if it is within your financial means, not if you're on retirement or disability or on public assistance or some limited income situation, do not. Just make sure you're subscribed and like and comment and interact with the videos. But if you do have a couple bucks extra a month that you don't mind throwing away, please throw it my way. You can support independent media and help me produce this content and reach the millions of people that I do every single month. I would appreciate it. First and foremost, you can go to patreon.com/IDoubtItPodcast. Great way to help support this work. $2 a month right there. And also you can go to YouTube. Click the join button below the video to become a channel member. Again, $2 a month. Does go a long way if I'm able to marshal the size of my mid but growing audience.
And that's what it takes. That we are way past time to gather in a park and sing a song. And it's great to protest where you live. In this moment in history, it's time to protest where they live, and they live in Washington, D.C.
I talk about it a lot. That in this dangerous time, in America, this particular moment in history when we have secret masked police kidnapping community members off the street, literally taking hostage Americans and detaining them for weeks, if not months at a time, and then dropping whatever bullshit charges they raised. This is an important moment, and we cannot rely. It can't be relied upon politicians to save us from this regime, from this fascism, from this authoritarian overreach, from these self-dealing, credibly accused rapists of children. We cannot rely on politicians to save us. It's going to be on you and me. It's going to be on all of us to get active, to get organized. And part of that is to get out into the streets and make our presence so known that Donald Trump can't say, oh, this fake news polls. It's on us. Obviously, you should be calling your congresspeople and your senators. Again, 202-224-3121. That's the number. You should have it in your phone, if not memorized. The other element is, again, getting into the streets. The No Kings protests. There's another one this weekend that is shaping up to be a tremendous effort on the part of patriots from all over the country coming here to where I live in Washington, D.C., the nation's capital, to amass on the mall to let Donald Trump know this will not be tolerated any longer. And one of the organizers is with me today, Cliff Cash. Many of you have reached out to me. By the way, Cliff, you'd want to know this. Many of my audience has been scolding me like I'm a do-nothing because we have not yet connected. But here you are. Thanks for joining me.
Yeah, thanks a lot for having me. And thanks, audience, for scolding. Please do that to everybody in the country so they'll reach out too.
So I want to get to who you are and what led you here, but let's get to the most important. That takes a backseat to what I think is the most important thing, and that is saving our democracy, saving this nation. Tell us a little bit about Remove the Regime on the 22nd of November.
So this is kind of a long time coming. My personal opinion is that the citizens of this country should have shut down DC before this guy was ever inaugurated. But here we are. It's 10 months in, 11 months in. And, you know, as much as I wish it had happened sooner, I do think really right now is a really good time, being that he's really on the ropes. I mean, if ever a United States president was on the ropes, this guy, his polling numbers, not everybody knows this, his polling numbers in multiple polls, in a plethora of polls, he's polling lower than he was right after January 6th, which of course means he's polling lower than he was during and after COVID, which of course means he's polling lower than when he lost, and he did lose in 2020. So he's never been less popular. Now we know he gave fellatio to Bill Clinton and others, all this stuff that's coming out. He's clearly a predator. We've known that. We've always known that. Everybody that has the intellectual honesty to admit it. So he's on the ropes. Epstein is kryptonite. Gaza is kryptonite. Ukraine is kryptonite. ICE is incredibly unpopular. So are the tariffs. So what I'm telling people is when your opponent is on the ropes, you don't take a water break. You throw an uppercut. And this protest, this political action could very much be that uppercut, because these leaders, and that's not always the best name for these people. These leaders don't really lead. They didn't give women the right to vote. Women fought for it. They didn't give gay people the right to marry. They fought for it. And so right now we are a horse and cart situation. They are not the horse. They are the cart. We are the horse. We show them what's politically popular. And right now it is our duty as citizens to flood DC and show them what is politically popular, because whether you believe it or not, they will jump ship. If you don't think so, Google the name Marjorie Taylor Greene. She might be an imbecile and she might be a human trash can, two things that I personally believe. But
I would go farther than it's not just might. We traffic in certainty here. So
sure. To say she's a human trash can is the most gracious thing I can come up with. But she is a clever enough political player to know which way the wind blows. Yeah. She is ready to jump ship because, and only because, she knows that her people, her constituents, are ready to jump ship. And that is as red as it gets in the northern foothills of Georgia. So I'm telling you, his support wasn't real in the first place. I don't think he won. I don't think he won. I don't think he was shot. His military parade is testament to his lack of support. On the same day that almost no one came to his military parade, 5 million people came out to say, "Hey, we hate your guts." So this guy's on the ropes, and it's our duty to show these optics to both parties and to other leaders around the world.
Well, we've put some posters up that you provided me before you came on, and we'll put the website up on the screen, removetheregime.com. There's going to be a lot of people. I'm going to be there. We even off mic, I hadn't said that yet, but I'm going to be there. You'll have an opportunity to join one with another with all kinds of people, your neighbors, just making it to DC. You've got a whole slew of events over the course of the 20th through the 22nd. There's going to be bands. The Dropkick Murphys are going to be there. There's some comedy events that you would expect, you being a comedian. It's going to be a wide-ranging set of ways to resist. And I, for one, am absolutely here for it. Again, we'll put that website up. People can get some information and even donate money to support the cause. Now let's get back to the less important shit, which is, tell me about you. I know you're a comedian. What led you to this uncanny position where you're leading resistance against a fascist regime and literally putting yourself in danger? I know I get in a litany of death threats and physical violence threats against me. People really feel very lucky and in their imaginary keyboard warrior ability to take on former Marine and everything else that comes with that. But
sure.
What led you down this path?
Let me say this real quick for everybody that's interested in, I'm sorry to answer a different question, but for everybody that's interested in November 20th through 22nd, if you'll go to removetheregime.com, you can also just go to my socials, Cliff Cash Comedy. These nighttime events are our sole method for raising money for the daytime events. So on the 20th, you can do a happy hour meet and greet with food and drink. And that's going to be like every big political influencer that you know pretty much in one place. And you can meet and hang out with all of us. It's a really cool space that we have reserved for that. Really great food, and we'll provide drink tickets. and that's a really cool thing. So I just put it up on my socials. There are multiple tiers that you can donate. If you donate $1,000, you get VIP access to all 3 nighttime events, meet and greets with all the people, preferred seating. But you can also come to the comedy show and the music show for a $45 general admission ticket. We're trying not to be exclusionary.
Yeah. Well, I haven't been yet invited to the happy hour, but I would certainly lend my internet celebrity face if I would be welcome, and then my audience could come in and
for sure
shake a hand and hug a neck.
I'd love to have you there.
So
done, absolutely.
So now that you've done the politician thing and answered a question that I didn't ask, tell me how'd you get here?
I have always been pretty politically involved since I've been old enough to care or mature enough to grasp it. I volunteered for the Obama campaign both times, knocking doors, as lowly of a volunteer as you could be. And I've been involved in a lot of environmental fights, including a cement plant that would have been the largest source of pollution in my community for 50 years. It would have been the 4th largest cement plant in the United States. And me and a small group of citizens fought that for 8 years, and we beat them. Only the 2nd time that's happened in U.S. history. So that's kind of where I got my sea legs, or whatever, if you will. And I've always used my comedy to raise money for candidates, for unhoused people, for refugees. So it wasn't that big of a stretch to get into this work. But the short answer to why I'm doing what I'm doing is it just kind of seemed like nobody was. When I started doing this work in January, I was unaware of anything called No Kings or anything called 5051. I really was not super aware of Indivisible, although I know it existed before then. And no one was doing any big organized protests. So myself and Jessica Denson formed 14th Now, nowmarch.org. And we showed up before the inauguration in D.C. demanding that members of Congress at least talk about the 14th Amendment, Article 3, because our view has always been this guy's constitutionally disqualified aside from any convictions or stolen documents or espionage or treason.
But for the audience's edification, Article what Cliff is talking about here in the 14th Amendment, Article 3 is the insurrection, that if you engage in insurrection against the country, you're not eligible to hold this office. That's correct?
Yeah, and I think he has further drawn himself into that box by pardoning all these people that attacked the Capitol. I mean, we have videos of them attacking and stomping police officers. He pardoned all of them, blanket pardon, including some of them who were charged with sedition. So I think the argument that even if you think he didn't do anything, he has now offered aid and comfort to people charged with sedition. So he is an insurrectionist. He shouldn't be in our White House. So that was the very first push. And then in March, we did a big veterans event. We got about 5,000 veterans onto the National Mall. We led really massive groups to Fox News DC and the Heritage Foundation. And that was the very first Heritage Foundation protest. That has now morphed into weekly Heritage Foundation protest every Monday. And
every Monday at like 4, right?
Yep, 4 p.m. every Monday in DC. Yeah. We taunt tyrants, mock Nazis, and always punch up. And then we eat pizza, and we use the hashtag No Pizza for Nazis. But so that heritage effort evolved into this weekly effort, and the Fox effort evolved into Fox Takedown, which now has Fox protests going in 19 cities. So the goal is to create something and then amplify it and sort of extrapolate it out into a bigger reach and a bigger network. There's only one Heritage Foundation, so you can't do those necessarily in multiple places. But we've put a lot of pressure on those folks, and we take at least a little bit of credit for their current imploding. when Kevin Roberts came out and refused to condemn Tucker Carlson's interview with Nick Fuentes, I feel pretty confident that some of the people who were unpleased within Heritage Foundation, at least some of that had to be the thought process of, we have people out front every Monday calling us Nazis, and now this guy won't condemn a Nazi. It's bad optics. So I like to think that we helped with that. We have literally found out where these people live and passed flyers around their entire neighborhoods. We meet them outside their churches on Sundays. We are not toothless. We are not just gathering in a park and singing Kumbaya. We are making Nazis nervous. And they are
no more noble work than that, my friend.
Yeah. And that's what it takes. That we are way past time to gather in a park and sing a song. And it's great to protest where you live. In this moment in history, it's time to protest where they live, and they live in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, I love that. Well, listen, I'll put this on the record here that my platform, my little tiny corner of the internet, 1.25 million subscribers, it's open to you. Some of those things you mentioned early on in the year, I'd never heard of. A gathering of veterans. I was in the United States Marine Corps for years. I didn't know about that. So sure. I dedicate and offer you my platform to do hits like this to spread the word about what you're doing and where people can meet one with another again, because a lot of people feel isolated, they feel lonely, they feel desperate, they feel helpless. And it's organizing like this type of thing on the 22nd and the days previous to that will make you find community and know that what you're doing isn't useless and it absolutely does offer help. And you can be a voice for the voiceless in your community. Cliff Cash, I appreciate what you're doing. I think it's noble. I think it's patriotic. And thank you for joining me.
Thanks a lot for having me. I really appreciate it.